Hey, Larken Rose here, and I'm going to make this short and get right to offending people. So, when he was begging to be put on the throne again, Puppet Trump promised in front of the Libertarian Party that on day one, he would release Ross Ulbricht. If you don't know that story in the Silk Road and all that, you can go look that up. He promised he would do that. He didn't on day one. Now, he may still do that. I hope he still does that because I don't want Ross in a cage. But I will say this. If you voted for Trump hoping he would free Ross, that's really, really bad. Really bad. You empowered an authoritarian knowing full well that he would use the violence of the state to victimize countless innocent people. And you tried to put him there, and maybe you helped put him there if you voted for him, to get him to release somebody. Now, make no mistake, Trump doesn't give a shit about freedom. This had nothing to do with, well, we're going to put someone in there who's pro-freedom, who of course is going to free anybody who's caged for a victimless crime. No, he won't. He doesn't give a shit about Ross. You know how I know? Because Ross was in a cage for 4 years while Trump was president already. He was in a cage the whole time through Trump's first presidency. Trump didn't give a shit about that. He still doesn't give a shit about Ross. He doesn't give a shit about anything but himself and his own power and glory and all that crap. So obviously this wasn't a matter of you were putting a principled person in who was going to do a principled thing. You were negotiating with terrorists. Literally exactly that. It's exactly the same as some terrorist organization says, if you give us a bunch of money and guns, which you know we're going to use to terrorize innocent people, we're going to release this hostage we have. There's a reason that lots of people say, yeah, don't negotiate with terrorists, because you're only empowering them. You're only encouraging them to do more of that, which is hold innocent people hostage and use that as leverage to get people to give you more of what you want, which is exactly what Trump did. And everybody who voted for him to try to get Ross freed, you empowered a power-happy authoritarian piece of shit. And to say, well, yeah, but we wanted this guy free. We wanted this one person free. Yeah, and I want him free too. How many people did you just help victimize? How many people over the next 4 years are going to be the targets of the insane authoritarian violence of his border bullshit of, we're going to deport 80 bajillion people? You think that isn't going to victimize a hell of a lot of innocent people? All his pushing for this, and in his stupid speech is like, we're going to take the Panama Canal back. What? How? Great. Nice warmongering talk the moment you got in office. You know he's an authoritarian. You know he increased the droning and bombing when he was in there the first time. You know he drastically increased federal spending. You know he doesn't give a shit about due process or the First Amendment or the Second Amendment. He unilaterally made several 100,000 Americans into felons overnight with the stroke of a pen. Luckily, later on, the court said, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. That's totally unconstitutional. Trump didn't give a shit. You know what he is. You know he's an authoritarian monster. And of course, so is Biden, so is any puppet that ever gets anywhere near there. If you helped to empower someone who you had every reason to know was going to be part of an authoritarian machine that victimizes innocent people, and you did that to get one person released, that's bad. That's really bad. And I know a bunch of people who are going to be upset by me saying this. I don't give a fuck. Now, you wanting Ross to be free, that's perfectly good. I want him to be freed too. I hope that piece of shit Trump actually frees him now. I mean, he's already in there. I sure as hell wouldn't vote for him. I wouldn't empower that piece of crap. And he's certainly not going to do it out of principle. if Trump frees Ross tomorrow, the next day, in a year, whatever, it will be for Trump's reputation because he thinks it'll make more people go rah, rah, rah to Trump. And a bunch of libertarians will do that. Oh, we're so thankful. That was so nice of you. No, it wasn't. It wasn't nice. He sat in that chair for 4 fucking years with Ross in a cage the whole time. If he gave a shit about Ross, if he gave a shit about the idea of people being caged without victims, he would have released him and a hell of a lot of other people in federal prison the first day of his first term in office. He doesn't give a shit about Ross. If he frees him at all, which maybe he will, maybe he won't, he doesn't give a fuck about the principle. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about Ross. He will free Ross if he thinks it benefits Trump to free Ross. He won't do a goddamn thing to free him if he thinks it better serves Trump to not free Ross. What Trump does is whatever Trump thinks will serve Trump. To applaud him, to praise him, to thank him if he releases Ross is delusional. Trump is an authoritarian piece of shit. How many times does he have to demonstrate that? And if you were one of the people who helped to empower an authoritarian piece of shit because you hoped he was going to do one little thing. I say a little thing. Of course, for Ross, for people who know him, it's a big thing. In the grand scheme, it's a little thing. You know how many people are constantly in cages for victimless crimes in this country, state and federal level? Every single fucking day? Trump could free all the federal ones. Does he? No. Is he ever going to? No, because he doesn't give a shit about any of the principles. And there will be real life victims of the authoritarian bullshit that Trump's going to push the next 4 years. There will be dead people on the other side of the world from warmongering bullshit. There will be people in cages and raided and harassed in this country as a result of his authoritarian bullshit. Of course, there would have been authoritarian bullshit with Kamala in there too. Not very different authoritarian bullshit. But if you negotiated with terrorists and you empowered someone you know is an authoritarian piece of shit in the hopes that he would do this nice thing over there, it's not nice. You negotiated with and empowered terrorists, literally terrorists, if they would promise to release a hostage. That's really damn bad. And I know I'm going to offend people, and I just don't fucking care. Because there will be real life victims. Ross is a real life victim of authoritarianism. Of stupid, arbitrary, bullshit, statist garbage. He is a real life victim. There will be many more. I hope he gets out. I hope Trump lets him out. I would rather there be like a jailbreak and people let him out or something. Whatever. I don't want Ross to be a victim of arbitrary authoritarian power. But guess what? I don't want anyone else to be a victim of arbitrary authoritarian power either. And that is going to fucking happen because Trump is there. And a very slightly different version would happen if Kamala was there. Still, lots of people are going to be victimized. If you empower a victimizer because he promises to now be a little bit nicer to one of his victims, holy shit. Is it that easy to trick you into being a source of power for the worst people in the world? You're going to negotiate with that? You're going to throw principle out the window and go, yeah, I'm sure he's going to bomb people and be an authoritarian psycho and victimize countless people with whatever dumb policies he's going to do. But we're focused on this guy. We want this guy to be let out. That's bad. That's really fucking bad. And you can be as mad at me as you want. That's really fucking bad. And when the damage of the authoritarian bullshit done by Trump administration comes out, if you're one of the people who voted to free Ross, even if Trump lets him go, I want you to remember, oh shit, I helped make that happen. I helped empower the monster that did that to somebody, and I did it because he said he'd be a little bit nicer to somebody else. Somebody else he could have freed 8 stinking years ago when he took office the first time. He could have freed at any point in the first 4 years in office and didn't, because he doesn't give a shit, and you know he doesn't give a shit. It's frustrating to see people who call themselves libertarians trying to put an authoritarian into office. Well, yeah, but we wanted to... Your motive doesn't matter. You call yourself libertarians, and you tried to put a power-happy, narcissistic, authoritarian psycho into a position of power. You tried to make that happen because you fell for the idiotic game of politics, the idiotic, evil game of politics. You empowered evil. Don't tell me it was for good intentions. That's literally the excuse for every single authoritarian empire and all the injustice they all committed, is people supported them with good intentions. How about instead of having good intentions and no fucking principles, you try having principles and stop supporting authoritarian bullshit? Because if you support, we're going to let that guy go by empowering somebody who's going to victimize countless others, that's not a principle. That's not pro-freedom. I want Ross out as much as anybody I know. But I don't cheer for evil to get that done. I don't empower evil to get that done, because that makes me an enemy of humanity. And I'm not going to be a dupe for these bullshit games that make people consent to their own victimization and the victimization of everyone around them, because the tyrant groveling for power says, I'll do this little nice favor for you if you just give me the ring of power and let me stomp on people and rob people and control people and violently dominate people. Okay, he's going to do us a favor. Do better. If you're a libertarian, be a libertarian. If you're going to empower tyrants, stop calling yourself a libertarian. I know you're going to be upset. I don't give a fuck. This is how reality works. If you throw your principles out the window to empower psychopaths because they promise to give you some treats, which they may or may not do anyway. Trump may just go, what are you going to do about it? I'm already elected. Can't do anything. If you're that easy to trick into cheering for authoritarianism, you're part of the problem.